welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be taking a deeper dive into Michelle and David after we watch the matchmaking episode.
First thing first, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2025 to everybody. Also, Married at First Sight, you know y'all could at least put one of these new episodes up there. We got 40 more. Y'all not losing any episodes. But instead, I wanted to go on a deeper dive. I did something that some of y'all did, but we did not do it. I watched the matchmaking episode because I wanted to make sure that what these people wanted aligned with what they got, you know? And today our focus is the infamous Michelle and David.
Yes.
What is your thoughts before you even turn on the matchmaking and be like, you know, what do you expect to see, Blair?
I expected to see... It's hard to say after I've already seen it.
I know, right? Crazy, right?
But I think before I was expecting to see people's representatives and people saying what they needed to say to get on the show. I do kind of always feel like the experts like to throw a monkey wrench in. So maybe there was something that they asked not to have that they received.
Yeah.
So I was expecting to see the experts maybe try to get kind of an opposites attract type situation going on at one point.
Well, Blair, walk us through this matchmaking episode. And listen, guys, I would say for yourselves, go watch that matchmaking episode for yourself, and then watch this review. Yeah, if you already didn't see it,
especially now. Yeah. At this stage in the season, even if you did watch it back.
Yeah,
because
be like,
you probably
whoa.
don't remember what exactly people were like before the madness.
And then you will see who the true villains are. Pastor Kyle, I'm talking about you, brother. You ready, Blair?
Yes.
Walk us through the David and Michelle scenes, please.
So they interviewed them to know if their motives were sincere and if these people would be ready to commit.
Yeah.
David came in with a side ponytail. I had to write that down for my own awareness. David believes that you would have three major loves in your life. He already found two, so he's entrusting the experts to find his last one.
Okay.
Anything about your job or way of life that, you know, could explain why you're still single. That was a question asked to Michelle. And honestly, she feels like she's a catch. Maybe she's been a little bit too guarded and hasn't let people in.
That's important. Let's keep going.
So the experts kind of have a meeting after their interview just to kind of see what everybody feels about each person. They all loved Michelle's energy. Yeah. She seemed kind and a hard worker.
Now let's start right here. Let's talk about energy.
Okay.
Right? This energy that Michelle has shown herself in this matchmaking, I have yet to see it on the show.
Yeah.
Now listen here. I'm not saying that someone can't damper your energy and things like that. But if you're someone of positive and beautiful energy like they describe Michelle, eventually you will see the sun shine through the clouds just a little bit. You get what I'm saying? I have yet seen it now on Married at First Sight, in my opinion. Just in my opinion.
Yeah. If I can kind of just talk a little bit about the answers to the interviews.
Yeah.
David coming in with the side pony already took him as unserious.
Do you think so?
That's how I felt.
Help me.
Because he came across very childish to me. But I do think that he came across genuine.
Okay.
And I think, like they said, that was something that they were looking for, was real, genuine people. And I didn't feel like David was putting on a facade.
Okay. Help me with the hair thing. Because as y'all know, or maybe some of y'all don't know, I have long hair, right? So it's something about his hairstyle that gives off like not serious. So what? So what do you prefer him to have? His hair out? His hair in a bun?
Let me give you a little backstory.
Okay, help me.
Side ponytails is something that you tend to get as a child when you're around 7 or 8.
Okay.
If you're a young girl.
I'm about to say, I was not getting
a young lady.
I was not getting the side ponytail. I was getting it's all coming off. Okay, I was getting the whole haircut.
If we want to go back into like maybe the 80s,
okay,
I think there was like teens, you know, women getting the side ponytail as like a cute little look. So to have a 30-something-year-old grown man with a side ponytail gives childish.
Okay.
That's what it is. Now, other preferred, probably more mature hairstyle for a man with long hair, a bun.
Okay.
And he did have a bun at one point.
Yeah.
But he likes to take that bun down and whip it around.
He did take it down. Now, granted, I ain't gonna hold you. One of my favorite styles that I like to get my hair in, outside of getting it braided and stuff like that, is twists. Right. If I had a job interview, I don't think I would do a side ponytail.
Okay.
I probably, if anything, if there was no hairstylist around, I don't know where Blair went that day. I would put it in a bun.
Okay.
Right. I would put it in a clean bun, clean shave to give off that there's not hair everywhere.
Or even your hair out, but just moisturized.
Okay.
You know.
But side ponytail. Okay. Look.
There's a specific energy.
Okay.
That comes with the side ponytail.
Okay. Help me. Okay. I'm learning.
Yes. And then Michelle, when she mentioned that why she's probably single is because she's a bit guarded and she hasn't let people in. Honestly, to me, this was a red flag for Michelle that I think the expert should have had. Now, I get everyone's in interview mode. Everybody is trying to show their best self. But do you really want to allow somebody in who confirms that they are a guarded person?
On a show like this?
On a show like this.
Okay.
Does it sound like that person is ready to let their guard down to jump all in for Married at First Sight? I think that the experts go in very hopeful that people, when they sign up for the process, they're ready for the process. Yeah. But with her confirming that she is guarded and hasn't let people in, I would kind of expect you to revert back to your comfort zone versus going full throttle. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we don't know what people are going to do until the situation presents itself. True. But it was a red flag to me.
Well, listen, there's a lot more red flags that I've seen that we gonna get to throughout this matchmaking episode. Trust me, I know this may seem like just a throwaway episode, but I think Blair made a good point in the beginning of the episode. Watch the matchmaking episode now.
Yeah.
I know they put it in the beginning before it starts. It means nothing in the beginning. But now that you actually know these people, go back and watch the matchmaking and see, like, you know, the experts a little dirty a little bit. You get what I'm saying? And also people got their representatives front and center. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's keep going.
I do want to mention that there was a lady named Stephanie who didn't get picked.
Yes.
She was asked by Dr. Pia if she could date someone that made less money than her. She said that she would prefer to be with someone who came into the relationship established. Mind you, Stephanie is 40 years old.
Yes.
Stephanie was not chosen.
Stephanie was not chosen. That is very important, Your Honor. Right? Stephanie was not. Michelle's 38. Stephanie was not chosen because what again? She would not date or be married to someone or don't want to be married to someone who makes less than her, and that she wants someone who is more established, fully established in her grown age of 40.
Yes.
She was not chosen for this process.
I just thought that was important to state.
No, that's very important to state.
So we see David.
Yes.
Dr. Pepper said that David had swag.
Okay.
Is Dr. Pepper telling us who has swag? I guess so.
Okay.
He has the male charisma that they've been looking for. He wanted someone who is confident, loving, willing to help people, and he is a social worker, so he wanted someone who approached life in that type of care that a social worker would. And the next step for the experts are going to be the home visits.
Now, here's the thing about it. I want people to understand something. Or maybe y'all can help me understand something, because this is just not an episode with just us two. I need y'all to help me with this, right? I think there's a difference between confidence and audacity, right? I think David has the audacity to wear a side ponytail, not the confidence to wear a side ponytail. I think a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that David is someone of low self-esteem now, but I think a lot of his actions can be supported by audacity more than the actual confidence of it.
Like it's a little bit unwarranted.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
It's like you have your chest puffed out and believed in yourself.
Yes.
Not necessarily for your works, but just because that is just how you are.
Yes.
Which,
I mean,
come see,
literally, right? Come see, right?
But that's just something we say. I don't even know what it means in Spanish.
It's not Spanish. It's French.
It's French.
So that's why I said you just continue on with the show. All right. She took it from me. Okay?
I did. It's an inside joke, but I don't get the joke.
It's not a joke.
Okay.
It means it's a real word that means okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we get to the home visit.
Now this is important, man.
Pastor Cal made the home visit to David's house.
Pastor Cal
entered the home through the front door.
Wait a minute, David. You don't live through the front. You don't live in the house. You in the front door. You live in the basement.
Yes.
But one thing that if you remember during the episodes of the past episodes that just passed, David said out his mouth, "I don't use this door often."
He did say that. But he took Michelle through that door.
He said, we're going to learn together, right? So my thing is, how don't you not use that door? Like this is your apartment. Who don't use the front door to their apartment?
But the thing is, I don't want to harp on this, but it is important to note because I think that he went through that side door because he had something to prove to Michelle to say this is a separate apartment.
It's not,
okay.
It's a side door. Okay.
This is a separate apartment with its own separate door. Then why did Pastor Cal not to get to go through the side door? How come he went through the front door?
Because Pastor Cal would have been like, you know what? Thank you, David. I'm leaving. Let's keep going.
So as soon as Pastor Cal walks in, he runs into David's mom and dad. They're all in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He sees what David eats. It looks like they actually did make their way to the basement.
Yeah.
However, I do want to say that the basement was less cluttered than how we saw it before.
Still
there
cluttered,
was no table pushed up against the wall to where he couldn't get to the fridge and to the counter. It was a little bit more of an open space. Yeah. I'll give it that much.
Still a basement.
Right. Mm-hmm. We see Dr. Pia doing Michelle's home visit.
Yeah.
She talks about how, she's not much of a partier. She does like to be indoors Friday nights watching TV.
Yeah.
Dr. Pia asks her, what kind of wife will you be? She wants to do things together, but also independent. Since she's been single for 6 years, she does like her time alone.
Now, stop right there, Blair. Now, your red flags are red flagging, right? Like, this is not the first time she said this, and she's saying the same thing in different ways. She said that she wants to be married, but yet independent.
She wants to be left alone.
She wants to be left alone at the same time, and I don't think anything as demanding as this experiment, I don't think it fits Michelle. I don't think she's a good contestant for this show, because it's one thing to want your independence from someone that you pick, but now we gonna put you in a situation where it's only gonna be y'all two. You're not really gonna have your support system when it comes to like your friends or family. Yes, y'all still in the same city, but we really want y'all to rely on each other, rely on your castmates and things like that to come to a full decision 6 weeks or however weeks later. I don't think with her saying, and I'm only using her words compared to all the other contestants, no one else is really talking about their independence.
Everyone is talking about how badly they want to be married and ready to share their life with someone. She's talking about that, but at the same time,
it's layered.
It's layered, but it's double-sided because she's guarded, but she wants to be married. She's independent, wants to be left alone, but she wants to be with somebody, but they still have to do their own thing. So it's very much a double-sided type of
listen here.
Thing coming from Michelle.
I don't mean to get spiritual on y'all, but the Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, okay? And Michelle, she just seems like she wants to be married, but she don't want the marriage. Dude, you get what I'm saying? It just seems like very, very red flaggish to Blair's point. But let's keep going.
She talks about how she lost hope, put a lot of walls up.
Yes.
She knows what she wants now and would change what she likes to what the other person wanted in previous relationships. That was the issue for her.
Okay.
So Dr. Pia asks her what makes her feel safe. She says knowing that he's not going to leave. And then she's asked your vision of your future husband. She likes a guy with an edge, not too vanilla, confident, some tattoos, funny, successful.
Now, so let's stop right here, right? Because this is very important. The way that she defines edge, I would say David don't have an edge that I've seen, at least to this point.
The thing is, I see the edge in David.
The thing about David is I see the audacity in David. But I think
maybe that's what's being interpreted differently.
Like with David, I think how he's been going along and how he's been sleeping on the couch, sleeping in another room, allowing himself. He said, I would not allow myself to be a punching bag anymore or things like that. He said, I feel like a punching bag. Well, here's the thing. It feels like to me that David's doing these things, and I'm mainly combining the after party as well. He's trying to garner sympathy. But I'm like, if you have edge, you wouldn't allow yourself to be in this position. To where, in my opinion, to where you would be a punching bag, to where you always coming back like, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? And I think when it comes to Michelle, I'm gonna give her some blame too, so she don't get no bail to get out of jail. When she said edge, she automatically defined that by saying, maybe a guy with a sleeve. You get what I'm saying? So I don't even think she really understands outside of the look of an edgy guy what edge really mean. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think David is the type to where after a certain point, he may speak up for himself, but to this point, we haven't seen that in the show. And I'm like, that's not a guy with edge from my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think that because we're going on first impressions,
Yeah.
if they're looking at first impressions of all the men in the room,
Yeah.
he comes up as probably the one that appears to have the most edge.
What,
I mean,
the
we're
side
comparing
ponytail?
to Alan,
Yeah, that's
Thomas, the other men that
Ikechi.
Ikechi, Juan. If we're looking at these men in a lineup, who appears to be the most
not like the others?
Like the others.
Yeah.
And I think that they got that in David, even though he might not be the edgiest person, but from their pool,
he's definitely the one.
He was.
Hey,
the one
listen, that is
with
true.
the edge.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I definitely give you bail for that one. Yeah.
And then she's asked, so could you be with a husband who makes less money than you, stable job, but not necessarily at the peak of their career?
Now, this is important. If y'all did not see this, so I'm going to describe exactly what happened, right? When Dr. Pia asked this question, Michelle looked up to the sky. It was like, and then Dr. Pia answered basically like, let's say he just saving up, and let's say he have goals to basically get promotions and things. I'm paraphrasing, but he have goals to basically one day make more money, basically softening the initial question to make it digestible for her to like want it, if that makes sense. I don't want to say leading the witness, but definitely pointing the witness to where to where to go. You get what I'm saying?
Kind of kicking them at the back.
Now here's the thing. Here's where I can't give Michelle Bell to get out of jail, because I like to be a fair YouTuber, right?
Right.
Blair said, especially at 38, if you don't want something, speak up.
Yes.
Right? If that was a problem for you, Michelle, she should have spoke up. Dr. Pia have done it more than one times, sell the idea of something that Michelle genuinely don't want. We've seen it throughout the matchmaking. We've seen it throughout the episodes. So I can't put the whole blame. I'm going to put a little bit, but I ain't going to put the whole blame on Dr. Pia. As Blair said in previous reviews, that you are a grown person. If you don't want something, say, I don't want that.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on how Dr. Pia was trying to lead the witness a little bit?
Well, to give Michelle's response, she said if there's a goal, then it's doable. It's something that she'd be willing to work with.
Not even yes.
Now, for me, I put all the blame on Michelle.
Really?
I really don't mind how Dr. Pia asked the question or even pivoted the question. Michelle said earlier in their conversation that she had a bad habit of changing things about herself or trying to like things that her partner liked, just so that way they can be in good standing.
Yeah.
And that never worked for her in her relationships, and that was one of the reasons why she was single. Here she is doing it again.
But I told you that in confidence.
But I'm not doing that to pick at you. Basically, my point is that Michelle, if this is something that has been a problem for you in previous relationships and you're saying you're past it, then your actions should show it. But they aren't showing that. And I feel like no one should be able to move you off your post. If it's not something that you want to do or not something you're interested in, then you need to make that clear. But I think that the want to be on the show and the possibility of a good match overrode what she knew, what she wanted, and what she didn't want.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not staying true to yourself, And Dr. Pia, she could word things in any kind of way, which, I feel like that is part of their job as experts, because like I like to say, this is a experiment.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect, this is amazing, this is what's going to happen, we match people, we're 100% success rate. This is, what if people are in this situation and what is the result going to be? Most of the time, they don't end up together.
Listen.
So I think we have to keep in mind, this is too an experiment.
Yeah. Do I have the floor to disagree with you?
Yeah, please.
Okay. You are right with your assessment based on the facts and knowledge that you have from the scene. Hard stop, right? But here's where I think where I have a disconnection with what you're saying. If I told you, as I am someone that's trying to be on the show, you're telling me, tell me about yourself. This is Dr. Pia talking to Michelle, right? Hey, I usually have a habit of conforming to other people's way of doing things. You get what I'm saying? So I already told you a weak spot of mine. I gave you basically what makes me tick. You know what I mean? And then you find yourself trying to make me conform. I will say that is not a genuine, even a honest way of presenting a question or a scenario to me. Now, if I told you I have a problem of being myself and I conform, I think it's not fair for you to ask Blair that she stand on her own 2 feet when she told you with her transparency that it's hard for me to do that.
And you know what? I'll give you this much, that maybe I should have a little bit more grace in that regard. And I mean that in the way of, if someone tells you a weakness, then you're correct. It's wrong for you to position a question in a way that makes them fall into their weakness.
And here's the thing. I'm not trying to absolve Michelle from any blame. Trust me, we got a little bit more to go into. Michelle definitely gets some blame.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But I'm like, if you have to present a question to make it more digestible because the person is looking up to the sky and you are a doctor of whatever it is. I think she's a what type of doctor is Dr. Pia? I know
she's a sex therapist.
Yeah, sex therapist and things like that. When it comes to just communication, there's such thing as verbal and nonverbal, right? And especially if you're in that profession to where you're helping people, you're asking them questions, you look for verbal and nonverbal communication, right? So if I'm always presenting questions to you and you always hit me with the and then I have to readjust the question so you can conform to it, especially since you told me that you have a problem with conforming, I would think like, Dr. Pia, yes, I can say, Michelle, you're a grown up. Stick to your word, or else you gonna be the one that gotta deal with it. But at the same time, I will hope that the experts, if their objective to have successful marriages on the show, would try to put the best people together. That's what I thought. That's what they give off in this matchmaking episode.
Because it does seem like they do try to match the best people up. It doesn't seem like they want people together who are going to have a difficult time.
Exactly.
And I think that is their true intention. And I think your points are valid.
And here's the thing. I would actually take a step back and give myself a little bail on my books, right? Because during this matchmaking process, it's easy to judge the experts when you just see them coming in and out of an episode.
Right.
But here in the matchmaking episode, you see them actually sitting on a table giving pros and cons of what is the best of what they believe, even though it's all an experiment and they are guessing, but you can see there is some intention on them trying to put the best people together. So I get them a little bail. But where I think they fall short at is, how do you eliminate Stephanie but don't eliminate Michelle? Like, and how did David come about? Like that's where I think they dropped the ball there. Like, I really don't understand what happened there. But let's keep going.
They start to talk about kids, and Michelle is indifferent on kids. She'd be fine if she has them. She'd be fine if she doesn't. But she is 38, and if she has to have kids or would like to have kids, it's something that would need to happen soon. She does mention that when she first got out of college, she worked in social work, and she was helping kids in foster homes.
I think this is important, that an important detail that we did not have throughout the show. I think another reason why it's hard for her to accept David outside of his side ponytail, as Blair gave us the whole background of that, is that she may be indifferent with kids, but she's indifferent with kids because she knows the reality of her age and the possibility of it. That doesn't mean that she's indifferent of trying. She's willing to try. She said this verbatim. She said, whoever I marry, I know we will have to get started soon because of my age. Right? Now watch this. If you match me up with David, who lives at home with his mama, right, in the basement, soon is not a possibility. Now you got me thinking like he's not even set up to even have his own place, at that to be a father, at that to be someone that, you get what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that is basically motivating Michelle's intentions or motivating her feelings of not liking David outside of her not liking David. I think she's cool with not having kids if she tried and it didn't work, but the whole like, you're not even ready as an adult, I think that's where she's also having a bigger problem outside of all the other things that she don't see in David.
But the other thing I think too is the fact that when she first got out of college, that's when she was working the social work job.
Yeah.
She left that job to work in something that would provide her with
more
a higher paycheck, more money. And she's talked about not wanting to go back to her simple life and all this type of stuff. So if she had the job that David has when she first got out of college, then why would she want to be with somebody who's in a position that she felt like she elevated from? So I think it's more than just necessarily that. Yes, of course it's the living in the basement thing, but it's also a thing of, I left that career because I know y'all don't make no money.
Ooh.
Why would I go backwards to when I was 24?
Blair, it's only the second day of the year. You taking us too deep. You take because now you got my wheels turning. She always talked about where she came from, and how she don't want to go back to where she came from. And now David's whole goal, because Pastor Cal said this in the episode, he said David's whole goal was to get a city job as something that has a pension and things of that nature. And what he landed on was social work.
No, he's doing both.
Oh, he's doing both, but he's doing social work and
the city job.
And
because he wanted a
the city
pension.
job. There we go. Yeah,
stuff.
you're right. Right. So for her to see him as a social worker, I think she sees that, to your point, which you open my eyes to on the spot. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Like it's no, like, even though it could be about how much he make or how much he don't make, it could also be about I don't want nothing to do with like my past, especially if she felt like where she is the pinnacle of her like existence. You get what I'm saying? So no, that is very a deep revelation you dropped on us, Blair.
Mm-hmm. So he's talking to Pastor Kyle, saying that he can move out, but he doesn't want to. He wants to own something, and he is in a position to financially take care of a family.
At this moment, they are sitting down in his room. Pastor Kyle is literally sitting on a couch in his room like this.
Yep.
Like literally, like Pastor Cal, he's not a big man, and he looked like he was too big for that couch.
And David was sitting on his bed with the covers folded on the bed on a naked mattress.
And my thing is this: how come you ain't got no other chairs inside your? So what? The bed count as a bed and chair?
Yeah.
So now David got to sit on the bed, and Pastor Cal is actually sitting where David rests his head. And hearing the conversations of, hey man, why don't you have a spot for yourself? And this is the answer that he gets, and he thought this was acceptable.
So they go outside to talk to David's parents. Pastor Kyle asks if they think he's ready for marriage. His mom answers and says yes. She thinks that he needs to get married already. She's been praying on it. She's ready for her son to get married. He wants a close, real, genuine relationship like his parents. His parents have been married for over 30 years. And strength to him means being confident in what you do. Yeah. And he wants someone to be able to tell him if he's out of pocket. So the mom thinks that he needs a woman that's smart and dependable. The dad thinks he needs a independent woman, not somebody who's clingy. Hopefully she's willing to do things on her own. He is fine with not having kids, but if they want to just enjoy each other, he's also fine, either way.
Here's the thing. I know exactly why the experts matched them together. Trigger words. Little words. The father said he needs someone who is independent. Michelle says I'm independent. Kids or no kids, David basically have the same answer, like I'm good either way. And that's when Michelle basically gave the answer of like I'm indifferent because I want to try, but if I don't have it, that's not a deal breaker. So I feel like this was lazy matchmaking. You get what I'm saying? Because you sat in that man's room on that small couch, and then when you went out on that patio to talk to David, out of everyone you talked to, Pastor Kyle, it wasn't weird to you that when you talked to Thomas, and when you talked to Juan, and when you talked to Ketchy, and when all these people talked to all these grown-ups, nobody parents were with them? Nobody brought their parents to the interview process? You get what I'm saying? But it was not weird to you that you're sitting down, and when you're asking David about is he ready for marriage, his mama answering?
Not even his dad, which I thought was interesting as well.
I'm not lying to y'all. This is not a paraphrase. Watch it. Yeah. His mama answered and said, like, this is like you need to get married. Yeah. This was the motivating factor for David to be on the show. His mama told him you should go apply for that job, boy. Okay. like basically. And my whole thing is, do not believe anybody who tells you that, hey, I got the money if I want to move out. If I want to do it, I can do it now. While you sleep on a bed with no mattress, while you sleep on a mattress with no covers, while you got this small space and things of that nature. Coulda, would've, all these things. David, that's what I'm saying. David is built off of could've, would've, right? And less execution. That's why I do feel like he wasn't his genuine self. I think what David puts on is someone who basically talks a good game, but when it comes down to play and execute, he don't do that. Because he now was in a position the way he has to do that. He could always go back to his mama, and when Pastor Cal was asking David questions, his mama get answered.
Well, no, Pastor Cal asked the parents.
Well, the fact that I'm even asking the parents makes no sense. Why am I asking your parents for? I got a grown man right here. Like, why should I be motivated by your parents' answer? And that's what I think Pastor Cal was like. David got a good family. Of course you would think he have a good family, because when you went to his house, you went to his mama's house. What was your thoughts on this so far?
Pretty much my thoughts. I could see why they paired them together, honestly.
Really? I don't see it.
Because she was looking for an edge. She found it in David. David was looking for an independent woman. Michelle is definitely that. He does have just kind of a cheerful disposition, and he seems very easy to get along with and easy to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And she pretty much described she wanted someone who's confident, funny, and I think that he appears to be that way. I also think that when it came to them talking about success, I don't think Dr. Pia really dug into what success actually meant to Michelle. And that's when she asked the question about, making less money, and Michelle agreeing to that. And I do think a major thing was the kids issue of both of them kind of being like, either way is fine, because it can be hard to navigate a relationship with one person feels strongly one way and another person feels strongly another way. So I think that they had the makings for something good, but I think honestly, I believe that Michelle wasn't honest in what her non-negotiables were. So
the only reason why I
do also want to say is that I think that David is a little bit delusional as well. I think that he sells himself as though this is a parking spot. I'm just here until I want to buy a house. I'm here until I want to get kids. And, this apartment is a separate apartment from my parents' house. But I don't think he sees what we see in that it does not look like a basement apartment. It looks like a college kid's room after they get back from partying and clubbing.
If that.
Like, he's selling himself as though he has it all together, and he's just here and waiting until it's time for him to move on. But it seems like there's like more of a failure to launch thing situation going on than he's willing to admit, if he even feels that way himself. And I don't want to say, I don't know his bank account, so he very well could have money to move out, but he looks very comfortable in his situation, and it doesn't seem like that is a priority to him to move beyond where he's at.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is delusion. I just go to liar. You know what I'm saying? But there is something to where it's like he's not living in his reality.
Right.
Like I'm like, you call this is a basement. No, it's like an apartment. Even when Michelle was in there, he said like, what's the difference between like, if it were strangers and they like, live upstairs and things like that. And Michelle had to tell him, so like, you can rent something out and they come down and wash clothes in your apartment. Right. It's like, you just like, I don't know.
Like, you're not with us.
Like, you're not with us at all. Let's finish off what the experts said. Let's keep going.
So the experts had a final discussion. They loved Michelle. She makes good money, and she also needs someone with financial security.
Okay.
If we found the guy that checks all the boxes, Dr. Pia says she asked her specifically, would you care if he made less money? And she said that she could work with that.
Dr. Pia.
Pastor Cal says that David is motivated to save money. He has a job with the city for the benefits and the pension, and he is a social worker. He is forward thinking and responsible. David wants a successful marriage like his parents.
Pastor Cal, you sold snake oil salesman on that one.
But I also want to say that I think the social work aspect was another selling point, was the fact that they both worked in that, because Dr. Pepper talks about how she used to be a social worker. He is a social worker. So in a way that they both approach life in the same way as far as how they care about people.
Listen here. That's why I said I don't feel like this was a good match. I feel like this was a lazy match, because they're like, oh, he does social work. She did social work. That's like.
But I guess, Chris, to me is like, how much deeper do you expect them to get? Because I feel like you have to listen to what people tell you.
I understand that. But my thing is, you're acting like they picked David out of a pool of 20 people. This is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
And it's not. Because you remember when we talked about the process of how they go through, they don't get all the applications.
No, I'm saying for his application to be picked, his application was picked out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So but
the experts didn't get to choose them at that point.
I understand that, but I'm saying like David did not have to make it past all the applicants and things like that. The same way as Stephanie made it through, and they said, nah, Stephanie ain't it, right? It's the same way that they could be like, look at David and look at his housing situation and be like, nah, David's not it.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, I felt like they were just lazy with the whole like social work, independence. Okay, it's just like I just feel like they just went with trigger words and not actually looking at a situation with like someone who is really concerned about money. I don't think I would match them with someone who lives with their parents.
Let's talk about how David wanted a blonde hair woman with blue eyes.
Nah, that was very specific.
She wanted a light skinned black guy.
Yeah.
And then the expert said, there you have it. And Dr. Pia says, if what we see is what we get, then this will be a good match.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And I guess my thing is, I can see where you're coming from.
Talk about me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can see where you're coming from. I'm not completely on the side of like, I don't get where you're coming from because, the financial stability and security is a very important part of things to Michelle.
Yeah.
But she didn't sell it that way to the experts.
Of course not.
So, and the thing is, like, I get what you're saying, like, of course not, but I really don't know what you expect them to do with the information they get. It was more important than she let on.
Mm-hmm.
And so are they supposed to say, well, Michelle, let me ask you 5 more times. How do you actually feel about finances?
Man,
you know what I'm saying? I felt like they gathered the information that they got.
Okay.
And yes, it was these words coincide, but that's what it means when people say we match on paper, but it doesn't really quite work in person.
I understand
because
that.
there is a thing of matching on paper, and I felt like they did match on paper. It made sense on paper.
I understand that, but those questions that Dr. Pia asked was not on paper. It was in person. And when Dr. Pia asked those questions in person, right, she said, hey, how would you feel about a guy living in the basement of his parents' house? And when she recoiled, she changed up the question to make it more digestible. When she asked about a guy making less money, and then Michelle was basically stuck, she changed the question to make it more digestible. These wasn't questions on paper; these was questions in person, right?
So what do you think? How would they get more of the truth?
I feel like, hey, don't change the question. The same way as you should stick to your answer, Michelle, Dr. Pia should give him the hard question and leave it at that, and don't change it. Can you deal with someone who lives in their parents' house right now? Not well, they got plans, they only doing it to save, and no. Can you deal with, because right now, because you dealing with a right now situation.
Right.
Whatever happens in the future, don't know. Just like David's going to get that tattoo off, those things are in the future, meaning it's not real. So she should ask, can you deal with someone who make less money than you right now? Forget the goals, because we don't even know if he gonna hit them.
Yeah.
Can you deal with someone who live with their parents? Forget the goals, because we don't even know how his credit is.
And honestly, that's how I feel about with marriage in general.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't marry people's potential. I think that if you're in a position to where you guys are working and building towards things together, which, with this channel, me and my husband are doing, which I'm very happy about. But at the end of the day, whatever we were doing when we first decided to get married and got married, and if that's all that we did, I was happy with that. I felt like things were good, everybody's stable, money's flowing good, like things are in a good, stable position to where I feel comfortable to tie my life to this person.
Yeah.
And so I do agree with Dr. Pia saying, well, if they have goals and they haven't quite reached their peak, that is one thing, but I want to know that where you're at today is something that I can work with. And honestly, if that's not something Michelle couldn't work with, then she should have said she couldn't work with that.
I agree.
The same way that Stephanie said that if the man is not established, she does not want him. I'm a 40-year-old woman. Please don't come to me with that.
And also, just so y'all know, Stephanie's a black woman.
Yes.
So like she was like, no, I'm out. Okay. So
she said it nice though. I prefer not.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
That's all we got.
Oh, that's everything? What was your thoughts? Like I am the one over here. I don't know if y'all watch American Gangster with Denzel Washington and things like that. But the real story about American Gangster with Frank Lucas and things like that was the detective that locked him up, that got him locked up. That same detective ended up representing him to get him released. Yeah. Right? That's what I feel like with Michelle. I felt like in the early episodes, I've done everything I can to get Michelle locked up, right? Michelle, you're this, you're terrible. Oh, you're a mean woman, right? And now I find myself, based on the more information I get, defending this woman, and I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a Michelle apologist.
I don't want you to do it either.
Right? I don't want to be a Michelle apologist. I really don't. But if I want to keep a reputation of being fair, and down the line, I cannot ignore David's immaturity. You gave me the whole side ponytail I ain't know about, right? He's choosing to show himself that way. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying now. I heard some people say in our comments that David needs a makeover, right? I don't necessarily know what that looks like, but maybe like a lower beard and maybe like less hair, or maybe like a style in the hair. I don't know. David got long hair. Like I'm not hating it, right? But I think with David, he's also a snake oil salesman as well. I think David. Here's the thing. When you go for potential, as Blair said, she don't marry potential. She goes for whatever is solid. And I'm happy that anything else I gain in life from this point on is just cherry on top. Right?
Gravy.
Thank you. Right. Very, very low bar. Right? Very low bar. Right. So
are you stable?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you. Do you brush your teeth? Okay. Right. Thank you for the low bar that I could just literally step over it. Right. With David, maybe it's for me because I'm also a guy. And I'm like, I don't think, like, I could kind of recognize when guys are kind of like bullishing a little bit.
Okay.
Like, it's not as simple. I can understand the logic of being told, oh, why would I go rent when I could just save my money here? And my thing is, you was fed that, right? If you really got your own and you really make enough money and things of that nature, we need more things to actually be solid, to be solidified in your life, then everything be potential. And I think that's why I don't really believe David, because he has too much potential and nothing that is solid, right? Everything is always, I'm saving up for this. I'm going to get this tattoo removed. It's always I'm going to stop smoking. You get what I'm saying? These things. And I'm like, what have you done for yourself? Even at the after party, the most recent one, when Keisha was talking about all these things in your basement and things like that, he said, oh man, these kegs and these things like here, these signs and things, they are worth thousands of dollars. If I wanted to, I could just sell it and get the money from there. Then sell it. It's all, there's nothing to hold on to that will make Michelle solidified, right? And that's why I'm like, David is just too much potential. He can really be a good guy.
Yeah.
He can really be a good catch. But my thing is, Blair don't marry potential. Everything something gotta be solidified.
Something gotta be there.
Something.
and just to expound, and I don't mean to cut you off, and just to expound on that, I don't think there's anything wrong with having goals, dreams, hopes, aspirations. I feel like those are all great things that everybody should shoot for. But I mean it in the sense of how you're saying that, what have you done so far that has put you in a place of being able to care for yourself, living in a place of your own, basically, like, if we come together, like, yes, we can have more and do more and all the types of things, but what have you done on your own that shows that you are a stable, financially, mentally, emotionally person that is in a spot to open up your life to somebody else and to be able to grow from where you're at. It's one thing to be in your parents' basement and to say, these are all the things that I can do, want to do, could do, am choosing not to do. But like you said, I don't see a sense of stability when it comes to what you've been able to maintain, other than you have two jobs. As
a man, I'm gonna tell you what he should have said, right? Saying, what's the point of moving out and renting where I can just save money and get a house, or what? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I say he was fed that. Like that's not a thought that like originally came from his head. He's actually better off saying, hey, I lost my last spot. I took a step back and my parents stepped in to take care of me. And during this time, I was able to get myself on my feet. Because
I've been rebuilding. Right.
Then, because what it sounds like is, I haven't started. Why start? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, why start when you could just live here and not pay rent? And then one day when I want to, because guess what? If I want to, I would. But if I want to, I can do this. It's better off saying that I did have something on my own. I lost it. I'm rebuilding, because then I can add resilient to your character.
Exactly. Because you didn't give up.
Besides laziness.
Right. And you're working towards a goal. And even if you have a time frame, that I love a good time frame.
David don't got no time frame.
But he ain't giving nobody no time frames. No. It's nothing for us to really dig our heels into. Yeah.
Anything else?
That's pretty much all I had to say. I felt like they both brought their representatives, but I feel like David brought more of his true nature. I felt like he was as genuine as he could be.
Yeah.
And I do feel like he just has a hint of delusion
because
it's not necessarily that I think he's lying about what he has, but even in the conversations with Keisha in the after party, and he talks about, like you said, I could sell my kegs and this is a basement apartment and all these things. I really don't think he's BSing us. I think that he believes he's more independent than how he comes off.
Yeah, it's craziness. So, what you feel about David, I actually feel that way about Michelle. I think if we would have let the real Michelle speak, Dr. Pia, you would have got what she felt and who she is and things like that, besides making her conform, right? And also, I'm not giving Michelle any bail on this. Michelle needs some more friends, some real friends. Whenever it came to like them meeting her to tell her that she's on Married at First Sight, guess who she was with? Her eyebrow lady.
Yeah.
That sounds like a person that's a loner.
Yeah.
And that could be a red flag to me. You get what I'm saying? Where's your sense of community? Because you can say you're independent, or do people want to be around you? Those are two different things.
Well, that's a very good point.
Two different things that lead to the same destination. You alone. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I'm coming to. My thing is, if Michelle is who she is, because they asked her, hey, you've been single for 6 years. Like, what do you think the issue is? And, people always say, you know what? I just lost hope. And things like that. No. What's your character? You get what I'm saying? What it is. Hey, listen here. We miss y'all. We will see y'all again next week when Married at First Sight returns. Let us know what you think. Hey, listen here. I feel like arguing tonight. Right? Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all saw the episode. And let me know what y'all think about the whole David and Michelle thing. And if y'all want us to do another one going back to the matchmaking, I know y'all want us to do MM and Catch.
Oh, I'm tired of talking about that man.
Right. I know y'all want us to do that. But let us know in the comments and we will talk about it.
All
okay?
Right.
Anything else?
That's it.
Y'all be good.
Bye.